I don't like the lighting. I need to work on my lighting too.
Fabulous. That's a great intro. Hi, y'all. This is Krista Perot, mommy of Good Live, and my BFF and sidekick of a gazillion years, Molly Johnson. This is our twice a week blab video cast, vlog. What do we call this?
We're vloggers now. Well, it's not really a vlog, I guess.
It's not. Well, it's our live stream show. There you go. It's our live stream show twice a week where we talk about DIYs and product reviews, and we have like one larger topic that we spend more time on. So we do a couple little topics in the beginning, and then we transition to something a little more meaty. So this morning, I think we've got a great slate. We're going to talk about when your kid says that they want to be homeschooled, which is certainly something I've heard before. And I have a couple of things to share as well. How about you? What do you have on your plate today, Molly?
Just working. We're gearing up for a busy, you kind of mentioned spring break earlier. So spring break planning, but that's boring. So we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, we mixed the spring break planning topic. Maybe on Monday when we're brain dead from the weekend.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm brain dead because I'm preparing all my calendars for spring for sports. So we have to layer the hotels and all that.
Crazy.
And I think I'm buying a car today.
Today you are?
I think so.
Okay. What are you getting?
A Honda Pilot.
Sweet. You were talking about that last week.
Yeah, but it wasn't gray, and I found a black one. So I'm going to go look at the black one today.
Does that have all of your requirements that you've listed previously?
It has all of the bells and whistles. There's
It's a no-brainer then.
not any there's the only thing it doesn't have is the remote start, but I can have that installed.
Okay, cool. All right, so just a little background on me and Molly before we get started. I am good morning. We have a patent attorney with us today. That's a fun twist. Yeah. Man, you guys are important though, let me tell you. So both Molly and myself are marketing consultants. We have clients that we help out with social media and other traditional marketing things. And so we try to incorporate a little bit of technology and that kind of thing into our show. But a large part of the show is more product reviews and different timely topics. Sorry, everything is like ding, ding, dinging for me right now. I'm totally distracted. So today we're going to talk about, I know that I'm going to talk about two things that made my heart explode. I have a product review, and then we're going to talk about the big topic of what to do when your kid says that you'd like to homeschool. So anything make your heart explode this week, Mal?
I saw that same video that I think you referenced on Ellen. Listen.
Yes, I cannot get enough of that video. So I love the Ellen show just because you always leave with just
it's positive
feeling, and it's uplifting, and it's funny, and it just kind of soothes your soul to watch Ellen. Yeah. So it's definitely one of the very few shows that I would ever DVR that's just sort of like a morning talk show.
You know what's funny is AJ is obsessed with the Ellen show. You know, my kid who doesn't watch TV, he watches all the YouTube Ellen clips on his phone.
Yeah.
Which I love because it's like, that's good stuff because it's better than like Duck Dynasty. Well,
nothing wrong with that.
Other stuff.
It's a different kind. It's a positive message always. So,
yeah.
And generosity and everything. So the one that's been, so viral this week is she had on the Starbucks barista who was autistic. She had him and his boss on there. And that clip, if you haven't seen it, let me see if I can find it real quick. I mean, I just sat here and my eyes filled with tears. I was like, oh my gosh, the kindness that manager showed. And I guess he had been involved with
and the acceptance of, the different.
Let me see if I can find it. For sure. And that had to take an incredible amount of patience too. Here we go.
Right, because this is their business, but that's awesome.
And it's cool that here I'm gonna put it in the link. And of course, it started to autoplay. Stop. There we go. Oops. It helps when you hit return. That just makes my heart feel so good. And I have to say, one of the things on my spring break list, even though we aren't talking about our spring break activities, is there is a cafe here called the Hugs Cafe.
Oh, uh-huh.
And it's run by somebody who's hired all people with disabilities, like learning disabilities and whatnot. And so they all work in the cafe. So they're learning, how to work the counter. They're learning how to make the food. They're learning how to serve the tables. I mean, all that kind of stuff. And she's giving them this opportunity really to build a life for themselves that they probably wouldn't have ever otherwise gotten. And that just makes the world go round. I mean, that's just so sweet. So I think that's one of the things I'm going to try and take time to do during spring break this week, is go have a visit there and have my daughter sort of experience that and understand. And, I think it's helpful for her to see that.
For sure.
And to understand it. So
awesome.
That was one thing. The other thing that made my heart explode, I don't know if you saw this one, was the animal shelter, the dog shelter.
No, I don't watch any of that stuff.
It's not a video.
I had to ban military coming home and surprising their children, and anything to do with animals, because I'm dead inside.
No, this is not like something that you would tear up about. So it's for your hidden emotions there. You're not going to trip anything up. But the story that I love here is at an animal shelter in Missouri, the Humane Society of Missouri. And so the kids like around my daughter's age.
They were sitting in front of the thing on the pillows.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was afraid to watch that. So I didn't.
No, it's not a video. It's just a story. And so what happens is, there's a lot of dogs in the shelters that are anxious, and they don't, they get overly excited or they get scared when people come through. So this program has kids going and sitting in front of their cages, their whatever they're called. I mean, they're like glass type cages. They sit on a pillow and they just read to them. And when the dog comes up to them, they give them a cookie. And so the dogs have learned to come forward when they read to them. And so they're kind of learning that they don't need to be afraid of humans as much. And it raises the adoption rates, because otherwise these dogs are anxious and scared in the corner and nobody wants to adopt them because they don't seem friendly, when really they're just terrified. Yeah. And so
that's adorable.
I mean, what a great program, both for the kids and for the dogs. I just love this. I wish that one of our places here would do a program like that. I would have my Girl Scouts doing that every week.
Yeah, reading. And, I've also seen a lot of when they're talking about taking the animals into like the prisons.
Yeah.
And that's the same kind of reverse concept, is that there's a lot of inmates that don't have a sense of pride or love or unconditional love or trust or, all these things. And so they're rehabilitating dogs and the prison mate. That's pretty powerful too.
Well, me, I'm a huge dog lover. I mean, we just adore our dogs. I could never live without a dog. That's just the way I'm wired. So that one definitely made my heart explode too. So the kids have to go through a 10-hour training program, I guess.
Wow, that's a lot for sitting outside of a cage, but okay.
That's a lot. 10 hours is a lot for any kid. It's a lot for me. But once they do that, then they're allowed to come and read to them at any time that they want.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think this is so awesome.
That's adorable.
So I don't know how to get that going here at our animal shelter. But I'll tell you this much: if I did that with my girl, we would be bringing dogs home like.
I'm afraid of. I mean, we've gotten all of our dogs from the dog shelter. I'm afraid of dog shelters because that's why I have 3 dogs right now.
Yeah, I would take them all home. I can't volunteer because
too many.
I just would be a collector of dogs. And actually, yesterday we were driving to a Girl Scout booth, and she says to me from the back seat, "Mommy, there's a dog in the field. It's a puppy, and it's just running around." And I was like, "Well, wasn't that what the 2 cars that were parked on the side of the road dealing with?" And she's like, "Yeah, we need to save it."
No, they're good. He's saving it. They're saving it.
Oh, I was like, okay, this would be a major departure on our agenda today, and I think those 2 cars have it covered. But had we not had some place to be within a very tight time frame, I probably would have another dog right now.
Hey, I'll leave mine right outside your house. You can have 3 of them. I love them, but wow, so much.
Roscoe.
How what?
Roscoe.
You can have Roscoe. Mm-hmm. I love Roscoe. He's hard to love sometimes, but I love him.
He's so cute. Okay, so do you have a DIY or product review today?
So, last couple times I've been talking about doing those floor coverings, and it was just a basic piece of material. It was spray adhesive to kind of do the edges so there's no sewing, polyurethane on the top, and kind of made it this sort of texture. But what I was kind of putting my head around is when I was looking for fabrics for the floor covering, there are so many amazing fabrics out there that I seriously think I might do. And I loved the consistency and texture that it created when I put the polyurethane on it. So I think I'm going to do a couple wooden frames, have AJ, my kid, make me a couple frames real quick because he loves to do that stuff, cover it with material and do a couple wall thingies.
That's a really smart idea.
Like 3 or 4 amazing patterns, maybe 8 by 8 or 12 by 12. So, because it wasn't just it was nice fabric, but it's nice fabric with the texture. It was kind of made it really professional looking, like a canvas.
Well, you could even stretch it over the edges and make it like a
That's what I'm going to do.
photo canvas.
That's what I'm going to do. Stretch it around. I'm not going to frame. I'm going to stretch it around,
right.
Staple the back, and throw it up on the wall because I have one wall that I've been kind of playing with, and it may not be the final piece that's there, but I'd like to kind of color block some stuff out there. So I think I'm going to do that this weekend.
That sounds really cool, actually. There's a piece of fabric I've been looking at Joann's every time I go, and I don't buy it because I'm like, I love it. Don't know what I'd do with it.
Yeah, and I feel the same thing when I go into these fabric stores. I'm just like, I need to do something. I'm not going to make myself dress.
But I don't know what I'd do with it.
Yeah. So I'm going to do that.
Yes, I think that's a great idea. So have you done any crafting this week?
Well, the one thing that was on my list is I was going to take that rug that Megan had in her room, and it's a 6 by 8, or I think it's a 5 by 6 rug, and it's black. She wants me to, we were going to do the monogram, but we're still in discussions because now she wants me to do a chevron and a monogram on this rug. I'm like, okay, that's way too
chevron fabric and do the monogram?
Yeah, I don't know. So she and I are negotiating right now.
Isn't it so frustrating when they don't buy into our vision?
I don't know why they don't listen. So long. 13-year-old girls or 12-year-old girls just have a mind of their own.
I don't know how that happens.
Hey, is
that Bianca? I think Bianca just joined us.
Cool. I don't see that.
Yeah, I do.
So yeah, those are the 2 crafting projects that I have, and it was funny because it's Ohio and it was 60 degrees all week, and it's snowing today.
Oh no!
So it will be an indoor weekend for us probably.
Yeah, I saw you got hit by a lot of snow. We're having gorgeous weather here, 60 degrees, and yeah. Maybe. And Beautiful. So the only crafting we've done is, this weekend is our Destination Imagination tournament. So all of our crafting focus has been on improving Dragon Paradise at this point. So we have a backdrop that she's working on. And she used every single one of my glue sticks.
I found a new glue stick out there, and I found it at, I think either the dollar store or like Kroger's or something. And they're colored glue sticks.
Okay.
And so, which I thought, okay, kind of fun. They were $1 for like a pack.
Yeah.
But the glue dries that color. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do with a glue?
Well,
it's not like Mod Podge.
My preschool friend has a separate glue stick that she puts crayons through.
What? You mean a glue? What?
I mean, a separate glue gun that she puts crayons through. And so the kids do art projects with melted crayons that go through the glue gun.
Is that glue gun intended for crayons?
No, I don't think so. She has a separate one. Like, she doesn't put glue through it, too.
Right. Oh, huh. I can't believe it didn't.
Turning.
I know, because I'm like, why? I mean, the temperature, I guess, is right, I guess, but then it would, I'm surprised it doesn't, the residue doesn't jam it up, but I guess when you heat it back up, it melts it back up.
Just like a glue stick.
No, these are little cheapy glue sticks that you use.
What do
but
you need those for?
I don't know. I was annoyed because I thought it would dry clear.
Oh, like those purple glue sticks?
Yeah.
Dry clear?
So I used it for a project, and I grabbed one, and I was like, oh, it's green. That's cool. And then I'm like, oh, it doesn't dry clear.
Oops. I would like those. I think those would go over big in our house. Okay, so my product review. This is something that has been on my desk for sorely too long because I think they're really cool, but I think there's probably like this great use for it that I'm not even tapping into yet. So there are these, let me get one out. They're called, can you see them? Magnetic notes.
Oh, uh-huh.
So they're kind of like Post-it notes, except there's no sticky.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can use them over and over again. They're just with static electricity.
Oh, it clings.
It clings to anything. And so you can cling it and uncling it and whatever. The thing that I love about it is when you write on it with a pen, it's just so smooth. It's so fun to write on.
Like butter. Smooth as butter.
Exactly. Okay, so they sent me some of these to try, and sadly, it's taken me a little while to get into them. But look at all these. Whoa, hold on, they're flying everywhere. Oh, good grief. Okay, so I've got little bitty ones in colors.
Fun.
And then, of course, the yellow one. This is like the traditional one. Then we've got white. That's more like the traditional one. But then check these out. I've got pink and orange in like these weird shapes. Not weird, but like long shapes. Then we've got this size. So like a notepad that you'd have on your desk. But check this out.
Yeah. Bianca wants to too. Where do you buy them?
I think only online right now. But I'm thinking like these would be fantastic for like, I mean, there's got to be a kid project that this would work with. I mean, there just has to be. Where can you buy those? I think you can get them only online right now from TeslaAmazing.com. Like the car, but not the car. TeslaAmazing.com. But there's no glue. You can just peel them off and put them back on anywhere. And it's just static. But
are they expensive?
I mean, they're more expensive than paper, but I didn't think they were outrageous.
How much are they?
I don't remember. Did I tell you that they've been on my desk for a really long time?
No, those are cool.
I've just started using them, but I got to tell you, they're like, and I mean, they're like you can't rip it.
Silky.
You cannot rip it. It does not
you
rip.
should do a giveaway. Bianca's right.
You should do a giveaway. I can do that. But I mean, they're indestructible. I mean, look at that.
I don't need my Post-it notes to be indestructible.
Yeah. But can't you think of, there's got to be something that we can use these for with the kids beyond just paper.
They look like fancy to-do notes.
They are fancy to-do notes, but you can use them over and over again. Anyway, I think they're really cool. So check those out. TeslaAmazing.com. I'll put it in the TeslaAmazing.com.
I did. I already put it down there.
You did?
Yep.
Oh, you did. Okay, cool. All right, so you want to move on to our main topic?
Yeah, sure.
So you brought this up today. So I'm guessing there was a reason why you brought this up today.
Yes. So I'm going to preface this conversation because I don't want to offend anyone, but I'm going to admit that I, in the past, may not have had an educated or a fair view of homeschooling. Meaning, maybe I didn't know enough about it, so I maybe was judgy about it, thinking, oh, those kids aren't social, or what? Because maybe the very few experiences I've had out there with kids that I've come across who are homeschooled may not have interacted the same as what I thought was normal or whatever. And so, being we both are children of educators who take pride in the education system. I mean, my mom was a teacher for billions of years. I'm pro-teacher, pro-school, pro-whatever. So it seemed like it would be an insult that if my school wasn't good enough for that child, or whatever. So I'm prefacing that by saying, but recently I've had a couple things that have come into our world that have made me kind of rethink that platform. And my kids are very social, don't have issues in school. They don't have, they love their teachers. They love their friends. AJ isn't a great, he's not an easy learner, but he still gets up and is excited to go to school. But they have come to me on several occasions and said, can we just be homeschooled? We would love to be homeschooled. We want us to be homeschooled. And I'm like, why? That is horrible, because you would miss your friends and you would not be able to participate in these things. And you would, there's just so much social. And the more we had some conversations about it, I realized, one, when I was in school, I was not excited about going to English class. Sorry, Mrs. Klingeman. But I was excited about seeing my friends, and that's how we connected and made plans and did stuff. It was 90% of it was social to me, and 10% was like, oh, we just have to be here because it's school. But that's not our kids today. Our kids don't need school to make plans. They don't need school to be friends, to have friends, to avoid people, they don't need this box, this room to do all the things that we've done, because they have social media. They have electronic connection, and they have electronic immediate connection to their friends 24/7. So they don't see school as a place that is necessary for them to make friends. And so I was kind of like, oh, but still, it's just social. So they also, but then also there was a couple of situations. So also they think, they did these electronic lessons at home, and they love them. They prefer to do the work online in their own pace, at their own speed, without the distraction of 5 other kids around them that are learning something at a different speed, or they're not paying attention, or there's a disruption. They just want to do the work and then separate it and have social. So we had lots of conversations about it. And then I have some experience with some online school from one of our older kids, which I can talk about in a second. But what are your thoughts on that? I think there's some places for it, because if there are kids that are getting bullied or having a negative experience in school, now I'm way more, why are we torturing these kids if they're really having a horrific time in school? We could certainly talk about why people are bullying and why they're a target or anything like that. But that we don't need to force them into these structured environments if there's opportunities for learning in a better environment.
So yeah. Okay. I don't know where to jump in. Yeah, I think that homeschooling definitely provides an alternative for those kids who are struggling in the school environment for whatever reason. If it's, and I kind of did a little bit of digging online, very superficial, before we start talking about this. And, a lot of it is centered around depression, anxiety, social issues, and why homeschooling was such a great alternative for them. Personally, I don't think it has to be for the socially challenged kids at all.
I'm starting to think that too.
In our situation, I mean, there have been a couple of times where she's come to me and said, "Can't you just homeschool me? Can't we just homeschool?" And her motivations are a little bit different. It's not because she's missing that social element. It's she just likes to be at home, and it's simpler for her. It's more direct. Mm-hmm. What I have come to appreciate about homeschooling, and one of the reasons why she'll say this also is she's in public school now. We used to be in private school, but when we moved, we decided to put her into a STEM school, which is fantastic. She loves it. It's project-based learning. It's concentrated in those science, technology, engineering, and math. But the problem is the school design is such an open concept that they didn't account for the noise, filtering the noise. And so the classrooms are very open and the noise level is really high. And she's a quiet kid, she's not gonna make waves. So I'm hearing over and over and over again over the last 2 years, the rooms are too loud, I can't hear what's going on. Well, that affects her grades and that affects her learning. And so there's another situation where you could say, all right, well, the kid really wants to learn, and maybe there's an environment where she could learn better. What I've come to realize, because I have a number of friends who homeschool, it seems to be a lot of bloggers, for whatever reason, homeschool. But then I also have a friend who I think very highly of, and she homeschools her daughter. But homeschooling is not what we thought it was when we were growing up, right? I mean, homeschooling was like this sequestered thing. That's not what they do at all anymore. Now, I mean, if anybody's watched The Pioneer Woman, you know that it's not something that you do straight at home. There's a lot of collaborative learning. There's a lot of group things, and it's just structured different. I mean, I know that my friend, and she's busy this morning, but she said she'd be happy to come on another day. But they have like full days where they actually go to a facility, mm-hmm. and the kids learn together for a whole day, and then they come back. And you can kind of build your program however you want it to be. If you want it to be 100% at home, or if you want to like incorporate some of these classroom type things with it. I mean, it seems like it's a more tailored approach to your child's learning style, mm-hmm. which I think has incredible value.
Yeah. Yeah. I because I also have been in the schools a lot lately, in a variety of different schools. And I've been really disappointed in some of the things I'm seeing in the schools. And it's not at fault of the teachers or the schools or the system or the community or, anything like that. It's the dynamics that are occurring in the schoolroom, in the classroom, that is frustrating because there are so many different types of kids. That's not the frustrating part. Frustrating part is how we're trying to force this type of environment into, we're mainstreaming a lot of different types of kids in the rooms, which is great for those kids and great for our kids too. But there's just a huge imbalance of how you then have to make this lesson work for all these kids. And my kid, one of them is a project-based learner. He's not going to learn if you stand there and talk. And I'm at the point where I need to sort of rethink. I'm not at the point. I've been at the point where I'm trying to rethink how I can. And basically right now we're just superficially forcing him into this process so that he can get a grade, opposed to actually understanding his brain. So I think I need more information.
An aspect that I really like about it, so I was texting with my friend this morning. I was like, hey, do you have a minute that you could pop in? I know that she's really, really busy this week, and I kind of sprung it on her the last minute. Her response, though, is, I would love to, but we're just walking out the door for homeschool art class at the Dallas Museum of Art. Can we do it a different day? I'm like, absolutely. But how freaking cool is that? And what would my school say if I said, you know what, I'm just going to pull her out today because we're going to go do an art lesson at the DMA.
Right. No.
Shock and horror.
No, I know. And even attendance, taking the kid out of school is an issue for no matter what reason. Yeah. I took my kid to Mexico. That may sound like a big vacation, but to me, it was
a cultural learning experience.
Absolutely a cultural learning experience. There's no flipping way they'd get a connection with Mexico unless they were in Mexico. But I got a letter from the school because she has 5 unexcused absences. And I'm like, don't care. But here's the other sort of side to this, is that I'm not able to completely say it's what I should do, because guess what? Who has to do it?
Well, and that's the whole other thing, right? So selfishly.
Right. So
that means it's a complete lifestyle change for our family. So if I did that, I couldn't possibly work. I'm already struggling. We call it the juggle struggle, because we work and we're parents and we're highly involved parents and our kids are highly active. So it's like we're trying to have the best of both worlds, right? Because we want our kids to have all these experiences. We're just channeling it into, sports and the arts and whatever, but it's all after school. So I try to cram in all my work while she's being taught somewhere else. But
I don't know all the details about the Revolutionary War anymore. I don't remember science stuff. So I'm like,
tell you about Common Core.
Yeah.
I can't teach that.
I know. So, but again,
I'm not in it,
I know I could. I figured my way through a math class, but.
Well, but I know that the resources for homeschooling are tremendous, and that allows you to kind of do it. But that is a full-time job.
Yes. If you're going to do it, you need to commit to it.
That is a full-time job. But granted, you could do it in a shorter amount of time because you have 1 kid or 2 kids or 3 kids or however many kids you have. So you could be much more efficient with it. Much more efficient.
I'd be afraid, because AJ's ADHD, I'd be afraid my ADHD would overcomplicate.
I'm just going to say that right now because I love you.
I know. But I think, but then I've also heard that they kind of get together. Like I could teach art to homeschool kids. I've had that, brought to my attention, but
you know what? I actually don't think it would be a big hot mess, because even if he has ADHD, you have undiagnosed ADHD.
Oh, it's diagnosed. I'm medicated. It's diagnosed.
So, but you would both be like learning in these short spurts, and then you could switch gears, and then you could come back to it. I think actually it might work really well because he's got your similar personality.
Well, we're headed into some testing at the Children's Hospital next week. I don't even know if I talked to you about that. And so I'm going to learn a little bit more about the way his brain works. And I might have to, because his little report card does not reflect his capabilities. And I'm trying to mash these two things together. And then I keep thinking in my back of my head, but I want you to be in school. I want you to play for the baseball team. I want you to play, I want you to be on the track team. I want you to be with, these social elements. And then the other lesson we keep telling our kids, even though I keep saying I want you to have all these experiences, is high school doesn't matter in the rest of your life, kind of.
Well, but you just kind of tapped in on something there. You want him to be in school so he can experience school sports and whatnot. Well, we supplement that with club sports and rec sports and that kind of thing.
No, there's a huge argument that my husband and I have all the time, because we're in travel sports, which now are the higher level sports compared to our school programs, because our school programs are confined by the rules of the schools. So if you want your kid to really be an athlete, or at least you don't pay any attention to school sports. They don't get the recognition for recruiting.
So I have 3 thoughts here. One is, I got to say them before I forget them, because I'm already forgetting them because I have ADHD. So we talk about, kids going into these elite sports, and that's a way to supplement, them playing the high school sports and whatever. But once they hit a particular level, if they are really gifted in that area, you have to homeschool anyway, because like gymnasts, they're in the gym for 8 hours a day. And so you don't have a choice. You have to homeschool them. So
on some sports, yeah.
Yeah. Well, then also I know for a fact through a friend of mine that her daughter is really involved with theater. And you and I would think, oh, well, you have to be involved in the school theater or whatever. Well, no, there's lots of these mini theaters around, these children's theaters that they can be involved with. Well, her program is actually divided up into, like, when they do a production, they'll have one cast that's kids who are in school and one cast that's just homeschool kids. And they are allowed, they have their practices during the day, whereas the kids that go to traditional school, they can only practice after school. And so there's that component that I just think is of note. But then you got to look at the bigger picture, and what are we doing? We're starting to sort of evolve and tailor these programs to our kids where they have more aptitude. Right? And so you're having to kind of balance it. So why, in 30 years, are we even going to be talking about public schools?
Well, our public schools just will have to be different. They already do. Every single school I go into has iPads and on, all their testing's online, everything there, but they're still they're using all these technologies because it's technology and the kids like it, but they haven't been able to shift their learning or their teaching based on the kid. Right now they're they're just not, they can't have 30 different lesson plans. That's just not possible. So they're going to have to create little pods of something and start to kind of group these guys differently.
So the school we're in right now, it's supposed to, and I haven't spent enough time in the classroom to know if this is really being effective, but when we were evaluating, whether to move her from private school into the STEM environment, one of the selling points was, they won't be limited by their grade level. So if one of them's showing a particular aptitude in math, then we're going to let them excel in math and keep them challenged and keep them interested by sort of, taking some of these kids who are really, not gifted. I don't even want to say gifted. I want to say that's
aptitude to learning.
They have a higher aptitude in those areas because they're more interested in it and they're more passionate about it. And so they're going to allow them additional opportunities with that. it kind of goes back, and I've mentioned this for a long time, but the Marcus Buckingham approach to knowing your strengths and playing to them. In the corporate environment, we spend so much time, or at least we used to. I think it's starting to shift a little bit. But when I was in corporate, 1,000 years ago, you would have sort of these reviews, right? Where you had your role in the company and you were evaluated in all these areas and you were told where you needed to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Marcus Buckingham approach is don't worry about where you are falling short.
Mm-hmm.
You need to give those people the opportunities in the areas that they are most skilled and gifted in. And that's where you're going to see these supreme levels of performance. You're going to see, people who are passionate about what they're doing. You've got to let go of focusing on what they're not and focusing on what they are and clearing the path for them to excel in those areas. And I think that's kind of the underlying struggle that we're talking about here with the homeschooling versus public school. Are we holding our kids back in certain areas because we've got them in this environment where maybe there could be a better path for them if we were tailoring it a little bit differently?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's a heavy topic.
Well, I know that it would be less time in the day for school than what they do because
for sure
it's so focused, in terms of the time they spend in school is not, what's maybe 40% learning. I don't even know, but it'd be interesting. I don't know. I need to look at it closer, but it was only until my kids started to kind of say they wanted it. And I'm like, why would you want that? That's crazy. You guys would miss your friends, but they're like, no, they don't miss their friends. Their friends are right here. They make friends via their friends. But then I also think
looking at their friends, they're looking at their screens. They're still going to have their screen.
Yeah. And then I'm thinking, oh, those aren't friends, and then that perpetuates why do we want to force these guys into the online sort of environment. But when they had to do, so in Ohio, well, here in Ohio, we have snow days. So if they have so many snow days, then we have to make up snow days. So in lieu of having to make up all these extra days at a much, cost and inconvenience to everyone, because you have to have so many school days in a year for the state, they created these blizzard bags. And on a snow day, if you complete the blizzard bag, and it gets turned in, if 76% of the kids turn in their blizzard bags, then they don't have to count that as a snow day. Did I tell you about that?
You didn't tell me the 76% part. You told me about blizzard bags, which I thought was interesting. Interesting concept. Wondered how that was going. I didn't know that 76% had to turn them in
for it to count. It's a state thing. This isn't like, hey, the teachers are just giving you homework to keep you on task. This was a state thing. So I had last snow day, I had a 7th grader, a 6th grader, and a 5th grader with me that day. And I said, okay, guys, go do your blizzard bags. They loved it because they got online and they're like, oh my God, it says it's going to take, okay, you should prepare 3 to 4 hours for this task. And here's all the different steps you need to take, and here's what it is. So all of 5th grade for my entire district had to do this particular. AJ, I don't think he's done his yet because you have 10 days to do it too, by the way. Megan.
Wait a minute. Wait, time out. So you have a blizzard bag because you have a snow day.
Right.
But you have 10 days to complete it?
Yeah, there's some other absurdities, which I'll tell you in a second. So in the hey, here's the theory column, Megan said she would have to take 3 to 4 hours. It might have been 2 to 3. I can't remember. One of them said 2 to 3. One of them said 3 to 4. So make sure you have enough time to accomplish these tasks. And Megan came to me 20 minutes later and it was done. And I was like, okay, all right, let me come look at it because you've clearly skipped. No, she had it done in 20 minutes. And it was a legit little project. It was find 4 areas that, 4 jobs that you would like to be when you grow up, and then look on this website and find out the average salary. Find out from this column, you had to create a chart that said, okay, from what was the educational requirements, And then what were the things that you identified from this other website, which you thought would be interesting? So she had it done. The whole chart was filled out. It was maybe 30 minutes tops, but no. So then I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. So then I looked at the 5th graders, and it was 2 to 3 or 4 to 4 hours or something like that. And she had it done in about an hour, and she loved doing it. And that was intended for a whole day's worth of work. She had it done in an hour. So now the other side of that is I've heard from numerous reliable sources, and I thought about it later, kind of the other side of it. If the kids just put their name on it and like wrote down just BS stuff and turned it in, they're counting it. Because listen, the teachers don't want to lose another day. You know, they're like, I don't want to lose their summer. But they told me that it doesn't go anywhere. It's not graded. It's not checked. It's literally just put it in a pile. If we have a percentage, and if we honestly have a percentage of people that try to do their work or did some type of work, then it would be counted.
That's sad.
But it reminded me there's very little instruction going on in the day, not because of the teacher's fault, but because, you know, you're shifting from lunch, you're shifting from gym. Now you've got to get Johnny on track. Okay, you guys go over here. You know, there's all sorts of things that go around. So if you can make that little lesson down to 1 or 2 or 3 kids, and it's tailored ideally for that particular child, then it would be a tenth of the time or something. So, and much more rewarding.
That's kind of sad.
Well,
just the fact that they just throw them in a pile and count that as check. I don't know. So are you considering homeschooling?
I have
net.
I have always, no, over the last few years, maybe 4 years, thought there's probably a better program for AJ. And so homeschooling had always been in there. But as I said, I have to work. So,
but it sounds like, but Megan finished it in 20 minutes. I mean, maybe she's bored at school.
She is. She's bored at school.
So maybe that would be a scenario where she would excel too.
She would.
So I don't think it's just for, and that's the thing, you know, it used to be homeschooling was, you know,
like isolation. I would
stereotypically, I mean, when we were growing up, and I guess we're showing our age now, but it wasn't. Or
it was. Either it was, and we were just not educated about it either, though. No, it wasn't cool. But
I mean, it was.
Do you remember any kids that were homeschooled from school?
Do I remember any?
Yeah, do you remember any families that homeschooled their kids?
From growing up? No.
Oh.
I don't remember them now. If you'd asked me 20 years ago, I might.
How? How would we have known them?
They could have lived on our street.
No, you would have remembered them. I can tell you at least 12 kids from my kindergarten class, and I didn't go to school there, but 4 years.
That were homeschooled?
No, I mean, just like I can remember kids, and if it was notable, if they were homeschooled, you would remember. So maybe all along, those kids were actually getting.
So you're saying there's this subculture that we just didn't know about because we didn't have the internet?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, how did they do it back then? Mail order work?
They did do that. They had packets and they were sent, and you had to go to the state and you had to like apply. You may still have to do that now. You have to, the mom had to, or the mom, or probably normally the mom would have to apply to be approved as a homeschooling environment to show that they were at least responsible enough to do it. And you got these packets in the mail that you would do, and then you had to track your progress, and then someone had to audit that to make sure that work was getting done. There is a process.
My kid loves doing online learning stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She loves it.
Yep. It's faster. It's easier. It's quicker.
But I honestly think if I said to her tomorrow, hey, guess what? You're going to homeschool.
Oh, my kids would be so happy.
She'd be like, okay.
It would be an interesting, I don't want to say experiment, because then I would feel like if it was an experiment that it would fail, then I would, oh my God, can you imagine if I had detrimented the education of, then my only other online education experience, and this was a little bit different, is that when I took in Sierra, she was 14, when I took guardianship of her, and she was in a really bad education district and not a great home, an okay in home environment, but they weren't really making her go to school. So they don't have record of her going in 6th grade, but she says she went in 6th grade. She remembers 6th grade. 7th grade, she kind of didn't go in, kind of went, didn't really go in. 8th grade, she didn't really go in. So in those types of environments, oftentimes the kids they sign up what is here called ECOT learning, which is an online learning program where then they can do all their school online. And what tends to be the case, and I know other families from this other experience, that they just do it to avoid the truancy. So they send, the parents don't want to get in trouble for not sending their kids to school. So they sign them up for this program, and it buys them a lot of time because this ECOT program sends them a computer. It's self-paced, so they give a lot of latitude on how long it's going to take a child to do something that's not directed, self-directed, not, so there's no, it's not a positive way to use this program. But what happened was, so when Sierra moved in with us at 14, not really having 6th, 7th, or 8th grade education, she was old enough to be a 9th grader. So they're not going to take a 14-year-old and put her in 6th grade. So they say, okay, you're in high school. You need to cram out all these years of education in 4 years if you want to graduate on time. So they certainly don't make her make up 6th grade. The 7th and 8th grade, there aren't really no credits, but she lost a groundwork of learning at that level that she needed. So she went into 9th grade, and we didn't overload her school work because she didn't have a education background. So for 9th grade, she did 9th grade, and then I had to unenroll her out of our district, and I put her in the online program for the summer. And then for the summertime, so she ended up finishing like 2 or 3 classes that summer in a couple weeks. So then I have to unenroll her out of that program, and then I put her back in the district for 10th grade, and then we did the same thing for all summers. So she was able to accomplish basically 6 years of learning in 4 years because she was able to do the stuff for our summer. And she was not a self-learner, so she didn't do it at home online, but they had this building that was for this program. It might have been a slightly different program, and it was just cubicles where kids would go, and they would go and do their online work. So if there was a teacher there you could raise your hand and stuff, but her purpose was to kind of just help keep people kind of getting their own work done. So this environment was typically kids that were court ordered to be there. But Sierra didn't have the self-drive to do it at home. So I sent her to this facility and said, you're going to sit in that room staring at a wall to get it done, or you're going to, not get it done and sit in a wall. So I don't care. So there was so that was my only other experience on that. But I know a lot of kids whose families don't really care about education, and they sign them up for these programs, and they can't do them.
So I have a follow-up question. So we've spent all this time talking about really elementary, middle, high school homeschooling. What about college?
No, that's so funny. I forgot to tell you that was my point. Okay, so my stepson Grant, he goes to OU. He did this entire quarter online.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, think about
right here that these kids are all online. He's like, why am I going to classes? This is dumb. He hates going to class. Yeah. So he did the entire quarter online. I'm like, oh, that's horrible. It's not. Can you imagine?
I would imagine that they'd save a lot of money because you don't have the living costs because they could live at home or they could still live somewhere else. I mean, it's not, I mean, typically a kid who's in college, they're getting their
college experience.
They're getting their college experience, right? So does that college experience have to mean that they live on campus, or does it mean that they live down the street in an apartment and you still give them the same allowance, but they take their classes online? And
he headed down the path. He wasn't getting the classes kind of that worked out for what he wanted to accomplish. And so that's the other thing too, is that if you have a couple classes that you want to take and you can't do them at the same time because that, you know, the schedule doesn't work, he did them all. He did the entire quarter online.
I know. I mean, I have my real estate license. I've maybe gone to 3 classes, and they were so many years ago, I can't even remember where they were. But I've done everything online.
I love online.
I love online too.
And the more I think about it, because I don't have to sit there, because we were just telling, AJ just went through a 3-hour class the other night, and I was like, listen, there's always going to be the guy in the front room that asks all the questions that's going to make everything go too long.
Yeah.
You know, you're just going to have to deal with that. There's always going to be the guy who knows more than the teacher. So he's going to raise that.
They're in public school.
Yeah.
They already know that. It's us who have forgotten that because we're not in a classroom anymore.
Yeah, but you don't expect it as the adult. You feel like everyone in the room should be going, come on, if you would just stop asking questions, we could get out of here on time.
I think adults are more brazen and they'll say something, but I mean, seriously. So, I mean, really, if we're looking at this sort of homeschooling, and really, is it more prevalent now than it was before, or we just know about it more? I think it's probably on the rise. I don't have any stats just to back that up. It's just instinctually, I think,
because I'm
being homeschooled than before.
Yeah, I'm finally accepting it. So no, it comes down to, do I have the confidence and the maybe audacity to think that I could provide a better education than my public school? I mean, do I have the arrogance? And
it's arrogance.
No, it kind of is, because I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to teach him chemistry? I hate chemistry.
I mean, there's teacher guides. But, okay, so let me ask you this. Are you a better person because you aren't on with your kids 24/7?
Huh? Yeah, that could be part of it too. Well, I mean, I have to pay bills. We have, you know, I like my job.
Take money away from the equation.
I like what I do. I love my job. I really think if I didn't, I think I add value to their lives by the experiences I meet with my jobs. I think I'm smarter. That's really bad because people are gonna be like, I'm, you know, a great, I don't know. I don't feel like, I shouldn't say that. I don't feel like I'm smarter. I feel like I personally am more rewarded because I like to do stuff like that. I like to work.
I like to work too.
Oh my God, we cannot get into the at-home working mom thing because everyone has to do their own thing. And I'm not.
I totally agree. This is what works for me because it gives me the flexibility.
Yeah,
but
it works for me.
But if money wasn't a motivating factor or excuse, would you be the same person with your kids if you were homeschooling as when they're in school?
I think they need to have other experiences beyond me. It comes down to it. I think they need to have other experiences beyond me. I think they need to have other teachers. They need to have other coaches. They need to have other personalities. They need to know that not everyone out there is as cool as me. They need to know. No, but
that's why you have these sort of group sessions and stuff for homeschooling. So maybe you're in charge of art and I'm in charge of science.
I don't know. I have the feeling I will be faced with it in about a week when I really find a little bit more information about AJ's situation. But you're right. It doesn't have to be a child that is struggling. It could absolutely enhance a child that accelerates. And am I compromising someone's abilities by not providing the best opportunity for learning.
Well, but it's not even the extremes; it's the middles too. Because I feel like my kid's a middle. You know, she's not the best one in the classroom. She's certainly not the worst. I think she's probably upper middle. But if I homeschooled her, would she?
Yeah, she'd be the top of the class, of course.
Well, of course she'd be the top of the class. But
she'd be valedictorian.
Would she be learning better and more? I don't know. I don't know that I'll ever know because I don't think I'm going to put her in homeschool as much as she may ask me.
We have a friend who's in 5th grade, and she so desperately wants to be in 6th grade because she all of her friends are in 6th grade, and sort of as the conversation, because of all this, started kind of as a joke. And I said, well, kiddo, why don't you talk to your dad and just have him homeschool you for the summer? Do the online school for the summer. And she's like, what do you mean? I go, well, if you're so determined that you should be in the next grade, then you need to, and she's a good student. She's got her moments, but she's a good student. And I said, then why don't you take 6th grade in the summertime? She's like, what? I go, you can unenroll out of your school, enroll into 6th grade. And if you're so determined and so motivated that you can do that, then you would accomplish the entire 6th grade in the summertime. And then you could be in 7th grade next year. You could be in the same grade as Megan. She's not let up on this. She is determined. Her dad even called me, and I was like, listen, I don't want you to think that I was telling her to skip a grade or that she should be homeschooled or whatever, because she's got something in her head. And he's like, well, I'm not opposed to it. I seem to find, I was like, but when she puts her mind to do it, she might do it. She literally might do 6th grade in the summertime just to be with her friends the next year. I don't know. Is that bad? I go, well, Addison, the other thing too is that there's a maturity level too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to go from 5th grade to 7th grade in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But she's determined. She might. I don't know. I don't know what her dad's going to do. He might let her do it. What I told her though is if you get halfway through the summer and you've decided you don't like it and you've done half of 6th grade, guess what? You get to do it again. You get to go to 6th grade. Because if you don't complete the project, if you don't complete the work, then you've just done that for fun over your summertime.
That's fair.
Try. So he might let her try.
All right. So this is a continued topic for another day. I think that we can probably get KT on here to give us some more insight.
Yeah, because I do believe that there's a lot more information out there than we
Oh my gosh, we know nothing.
This is my opinion, and I prefaced it from the beginning. I'll say it again. I'm prefacing it by having a particular opinion that was based on an uneducated, stereotypical, not fair opinion of homeschools.
Okay, and so I think that's a wrap for that topic. I just want to go back to this for 1 second. It's smear-proof and waterproof. That's good.
I love that. I mean, I think they're fun. I think they're kind of cool.
Yep. So I'm going to keep using them.
Okay.
More to come on that. Okay, so I'm Trista Perot with MommyUpgrade.com. This is Molly Johnson with iMaggyMoo.com and MJ6Promotions.com. And then my business site is tpgbusiness.com. We will see you on Thursday. No, wait, this is Thursday. Monday. We'll see you on Monday. So watch our Twitter feed for our topics for Monday. And sorry, distracted. Too many dings going on. So we will sign out and see you all later. Thanks.
All right, see ya.